Most psychologists believe that the childhood is the basis for everything else in your adult life. This is nothing new. This is truth. And I agree with them. You know, one of the reasons I wanted to get into this profession is because in my childhood, and I've said it before in other videos, I had experienced a lot of crises as an individual, from a family perspective. And I had a lot of issues in dealing with both my mom and dad, but especially with my mom. Those issues shaped me. For a long time, I was almost haunted, and I live in a nightmare in real time, in trying to deal with the psychological mess up that had occurred in my childhood and trying to unravel that in my everyday existence and living. Imagine that. Living is hard enough, having to survive and having to come up with money and all the resources necessary and all the tools to survive, far less more having to deal with living and psychological trauma from your childhood. I know I'm talking to a lot of people out there. That's why I'm doing this video. Because when you talk about couples counseling or individual counseling, or just counseling period, the truth of the matter is that you have to address your childhood. You have to look at your childhood and determine if there are factors there that are triggering you in this current state that you're in. If you're an adult of 52 and you're having issues with intimacy, or issues with just being transparent, or being vulnerable in a relationship, you have to ask yourself questions about your childhood. Or does this learned behavior, is this a character, is this who you are, is this something that you pattern yourself after? Did you become this way because of something that happened to you as a child? It's worth asking the questions, even if the questions don't lead you down the back to your childhood. It's good to get all of that stuff out of the way. Childhood regression and going back to your childhood and looking and taking off the layers of the onion is necessary in order to see who you are. But there are a lot of people that I come across that are not interested in going down that path. They don't want to look at the past. They don't want to look at their childhood. And I'm going to tell you why they don't want to look at their childhood: because they want to continue the cycle of pain, and they want to continue the cycle of victimization. Many people remain victims because it suits their purpose in life. Imagine meeting somebody and saying, you know what, I had a really hard childhood. It sells books, it makes movies, and it even gets people to cry on TV shows. When you talk about the horror of your childhood, it engages people, because some people have never experienced that kind of horror or abuse or trauma. So you sharing helps to bring them into your story. But there's some people who have gotten really good at the storytelling and the repetitive storytelling over and over again. They keep on repeating the abuse and the cycle of trauma and the history, not because they cannot heal, but because they're not healing in the way they're supposed to. Does that make sense? I'm not dismissing anybody's trauma or anybody's pain, because I had my own trauma from my childhood. I had my own pain. What I'm saying is, until I move far from that trauma and that pain and holding on to that narrative, I wasn't able to experience myself as Ingrid. I was totally caught up in myself as a child and what I experienced with my mom. I could have remained a victim. I could have chosen to victimize myself and say, you know what? Poor Ingrid. Her mom didn't love her as much as she should have. Her mom did her some things that she shouldn't have. That could have been my story. It is part of my narrative, but is not who I am. And that's the difference. The difference is, instead of insulating yourself with your past and your childhood, then you have to move forward. At some point, you have to find the strength, you have to find a determination within, and you have to move past your childhood. But the only way you can do that is to go back and examine it. You have to peel back the onion and look at how those childhood events affected you. Some people don't want to because they just don't want to go back down memory lane, and that's fine. But I suggest it's necessary to go down memory lane if a lot of your behaviors in your relationship are causing you to behave a certain way and you don't know the source of those behaviors, then you need to go back and retrace your steps, just like I said, when you lose the keys, and find yourself, find out what makes you tick, find out what triggers you, and find out why you're triggered in a certain way. Will this help you? Because this helped me a lot. Because from a spiritual perspective, I realized that, and this is a theory that I have, but it's also a theory that I've read in other books and I've heard other people say, some of my clients that are spiritual. I believe that we choose our parents. Let me say that again, let it sit in. I believe that we do sincerely choose our parents. And if that's true, you have to ask yourself, why the heck? Like I ask myself all the time, why did I choose Colbert? Why did I choose Marilyn? Why did I choose these two people as parents? To me, when I was a child, I was like, they cannot possibly be my parents, first of all. One, somebody dropped me off. They're on their way back to pick me up. There's no way that these two people are my parents. That's what I thought as a child. And the truth of the matter is, they were my biological parents. I chose them spiritually because before I came here, if you believe in that whole spiritual existence before you came here, yeah, I believe I chose them. And then you have to ask yourself, after you believe in that, why would I choose these two people? And that helped me, believe it or not, to get past my childhood maladies and my childhood trauma. Because when I did ask the question, why would I choose these two people as an adult? And I started realizing something. I could never have gotten to this place that I'm at without my mother treating me the way she did. I'm not saying that treating somebody bad is okay, or inflicting pain or suffering on a child or on suspecting human being is okay. What I'm saying is, if I go based on the theory that I did choose my mother, then why did I choose her? Was it because she had a lesson to teach me, or because the lesson that I needed to learn in this life would be further promoted by who she was? And the answer was yes. Without her, I would not have learned what it was to be a good mother. Without her, I would not have learned how to protect myself from the world. Without her, I would not have learned how to develop a resilience to insults, to criticism, to people not caring about me, to people not treating me a certain way. I had to learn how not to take things personally because it was so personal when I was young. So there was value in the lessons that she gave me, even though those lessons were painful. And that's where you need to be if you're suffering from childhood trauma. You need to go back to your childhood and you need to look at the lessons not as pain, but you need to look at the lessons as how that pain has added value or can add value to you as an individual. You can't stay stuck in the pain. All pain does is attract more pain. And you've heard me say that before, and other people have said it. But pain attracts pain. So in order to diffuse the pain, you have to look at pain and deconstruct it and say, what's the value of the pain? What's the value of the lesson here to be learned? How can I take this information and take this experience and translate it into something that's going to make me a better person, a better adult, a better human being? And once you go down that path and you understand that, then the process of healing automatically takes place. You're healing as you're even asking the questions as why and when and where and how. When you start asking those questions, the healing process automatically kicks in, and it keeps going. And then you become better and stronger for having gone down that rabbit hole. Yeah, if we did choose our parents, then it makes all the sense in the world why you shouldn't hold resentment towards them. If we did choose our parents, it makes all the sense in the world that we were in control from the very beginning and we just chose these people to help us establish control in this realm, in this earthly realm. If we did choose our parents, then it makes sense that we can forgive them because within the parameters of who they are, they only knew what they knew and they only did what they were supposed to do. Food for thought. My name is Ingrid Felton. As always, thank you for visiting the YouTube channel. Thank you for subscribing to the videos channel. Thank you for liking the videos and leaving your comments. I encourage you to continue doing so. I encourage you to tell others what I'm doing here. I would love to continue on this channel and continue to raise awareness, especially about your individual self, and then how that impacts the collective self. That's what I want to do. I want to make this world a better place than when I came, if at all possible. And I'm not doing it alone. There's so many people out here on YouTube, in the YouTube world, that are doing it, and in the world that are doing it, people that will not be recognized even before they leave this earth. But I just want to add, and I hope today that the lesson you learned from me is that you can take your narrative and change it by introducing an element that tells you, hey, did you ever look at this way before? Maybe these people didn't mess you over just because they could. Maybe part of the process that you chose in coming here was to help you to develop into a stronger, more effective human being. Have an amazing day. Bye.